You might have an old computer or console in your house, and chances are, it's probably yellow or beige. And it's not just that. Most tech from the 80s and 90s had that signature brownish yellow hue to it. But have you ever wondered why? Now, a lot of products, including electronic devices, are required to meet flammability standards. Electronic devices specifically, like telephones, consoles or computers, had a flame-retardant coating applied to their plastic casing to, well, retard flames. The basic function of this coating was to stop or slow down the development of flames on the plastic. There are many different types of flame retardants and they all prevent the development of flames in different ways. For the most part, these coatings tend to degrade over time and change color. And just like there are many types of flame retardants, they also degrade in many different ways for different reasons. Some degrade due to the presence of UV light, some due to oxidization, the presence of oxygen, and some degrade when exposed to heat, which is what seems to be the main cause of degradation in the case of computers. Because computers, and old ones specifically, generate a lot of heat. But in spite of the different types and causes of degradation, they all share one thing in common. They always degrade to a brownish yellow color. These standards were mostly introduced in the 70s, so companies were still figuring flame retardants out, which explains why plastics don't get discolored as much. Aside from that, the original color of the plastic would usually be white or gray, which was the color of most technology from the 90s. But that wasn't always the case, because before that, in the 70s and 80s, most electronics were already beige. That was their original color. This used to be a trend. Most companies had offices with beige interiors, including beige equipment, furniture, and walls. Beige was just a nice, muted, sober color that doesn't cause a lot of distraction, and it hides dirt better than, say, white. Office beige was a thing. By that time, computers were becoming increasingly widespread, so offices everywhere began implementing them. And since those offices were already beige, they might as well make the computers beige too, to fit the theme. Remember, computers were mainly a business tool. They were still too expensive for the average person to afford. Plus, there really was no reason for people to have computers in their homes. The internet was still like 5 companies, and if you wanted to play video games, you'd get a game console. But as computers became more advanced and were able to do many more things, there became more and more reasons for the average person to own a computer. And so, the first personal computers began to appear by the late 70s and early 80s. Most notably, the Apple II, the IBM PC, and the Macintosh. And they were all beige. It seemed that the beige color carried over from office to home computing, but not for long, because manufacturers soon realized that they did not have to abide by office rules for home computers. And soon enough, home computers began to ship in different colors other than beige, usually white or gray, but also black, which was special because people weren't used to seeing black computers. As a matter of fact, some people were even shocked to see black computers. You're telling me that you have a computer in your house that isn't white or beige? This was seen as a sign of luxury and wealth. By the end of the 90s, most computers were either white, gray, or black, with beige starting to get phased out completely. Then, in 1998, Apple dropped the bomb, the iMac G3. It was glossy, it was transparent, and it was available in 13 different colors over its lifetime. It looked nothing like any computer that came before it. It was the first truly personal computer. It wasn't trying to be a tool, but a toy. Unlike the lifeless office computers of before, this looked like it had a soul. It looked fun. As we entered the 2000s, Apple did not stop its radical designs. They kept making more variations of the G3 with increased performance and, most importantly, many new colors. In 2002, Apple launched its second iMac, the iMac G4. While it wasn't as colorful as its predecessor, being only available in white, it still looked far from the average computer with its mix of transparent, glossy, and metallic elements. Whether you like or hate Apple, you can't deny that they made some truly beautiful products in the past. Nowadays, most computers and laptops are either gray, white, or silver, with black ironically being probably the most common color for lower-end computers, likely due to how cheap it is to manufacture. So, to answer the question, old computers are yellow because they were coated with a material that degraded and turned yellow over time, or because they were a color close to yellow, like beige. And that should be the end of today's video. If you spotted any mistakes throughout the video, feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm still new to this stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey, did you ever ask anybody what their favorite color is? I'm sure you have, or people have asked you. It's not the most interesting question, but how many times do you say beige? Never. Because it's one of the worst colors. It's hardly even a color. It's like oatmeal or sand. There's nothing. It's beige, it's boring, it's bland. Now computers, why in heaven's name have the people who have made computers before never done anything but beige? That's nuts. That's nuts. Have they been in thinking jail? That's crazy.